Hey everybody, so are you hearing all about the new rules with real estate and commission and the National Association of Realtors and the Department of Justice? Well, I know there's a lot of talk out there happening that people are saying, oh, you don't have to pay commission anymore. Well, that's simply not the case. I think it's confusing, but the new rules are really good. They're going to bring clarity and understanding for buyers and sellers in the real estate business. And what does it really mean to the consumers? Well, historically, in our world, in the United States, buyers always brought the money to the table to buy a house, and the sellers agreed to how much commission they were going to pay their realtor to sell their house. There was an agreement between the realtors that said, if you bring a buyer in to my listing, we'll share the commission, and they would pay a certain amount of commission out to the other brokerage. Well, there was some lawsuits and some issues with the way that was handled, and the Department of Justice felt that that was not transparent enough. So they've come up with a new way of doing business. What's going to happen now is if you're buying real estate, to look at any property, you're going to be required to sign a buyer's brokerage agreement. Now, there's several communities in our country that buyer brokerage agreements were pretty commonplace, but for the most part, most agents didn't utilize them. It's very similar to a listing agreement, which pretty much everywhere to put a property into the MLS when you wanted to sell it, you would sign a listing agreement with a listing broker. Well, now it's a similar process where you'll sign a buyer's broker agreement, and it simply states that you understand that you're being represented by a buyer's broker, and that buyer's broker will get paid a commission. Now, you'll be ultimately responsible for paying the commission, but most of the times we assume as this new rule evolves that the sellers may still offer compensation to the buyer's agents. Now the question will be, how much do you pay your buyer's agent? How much will the listing agent get paid? And those are all part of the negotiation of your independent contracts and agreements, the listing agreement and the buyer's agreement. Now, a listing agreement will have a section in there where it will say the seller will be responsible to pay the listing brokerage company X%. There'll also be a section in there that will say the seller is willing to pay a certain percentage off to the buyer's agent. Now, if the buyer is getting a loan and they're utilizing all the money they have, they might not have enough money to pay their buyer's agent as well as come up with the down payment for the financing. I'm sure we'll see some adjustments in how the financing works as we go through this new process over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. But that's why it makes sense sometimes for the sellers to pay the buyer's brokerage commission. Now, the commission rates are negotiable. They've been negotiable for years, but we're going to see different rates and different processes throughout the country. Here on Maui, we are going to be doing the same thing. And so it's just good for you to be prepared to know. Now, if you're a cash buyer, you may want to make a different arrangement with your buyer's agent to compensate them through escrow, but without having it be part of the contract. There may be some benefits based on property taxes, but we really don't know how all that's going to shake out. That sales fee will still be tax deductible, so it may not make a difference whether you pay the buyer and then the buyer gives the money back to the realtor, or if you just pay the brokerage directly. With all that said, keep in mind that as a buyer, you're going to have the right to choose which agent you want to work with. You've always had the right to choose, but now I believe you're going to start thinking about, well, if I'm responsible for paying my agent's commission, I want to make sure that I have a great agent. And I think that's really prudent. When we go to a doctor or an attorney, we select those professionals based on their reputation, their skills, their experience, and their time in the business. So I think what we will see in the future in real estate is, as a consumer and as a buyer, you'll be doing some more research to say, well, who do I want to work with? Now that I'm responsible and I'm on the hook for making sure they get paid, I might want to work with somebody that I know has the experience, the track record, the negotiation skills that are going to benefit me the most. So I'm Tom Tezak. I hope this helps you understand what's going on and how it's going to impact you. If you're a buyer or if you're a seller and you want more details, you want to discuss it more, please feel free to give me a call. I would love to go through the new rules and help you to understand how it affects you and how to help you to make the best decision possible when you're buying and or selling a property in the new business model for real estate across the United States.